Hey, what's going on there, folks? Check that out. That is a beautiful Category 5 hurricane. That's right. Beryl has jumped up into the Category 5 hurricane status here as of just a couple minutes ago. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, photogenic hurricane right here. And man, is it going to do, well, it did do quite a bit of damage here across these islands. And it's headed off towards the Jamaica area. So let's read the latest public information statement here from the National Hurricane Center. It is currently maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour. That puts it at a Category 5 hurricane. 157 miles per hour or higher makes it Category 5. So this thing is just crazy. It is expected to bring life-threatening winds and some major storm surge to the Jamaica area later this week. So let's look at these spaghetti models here and see what we got in terms of where it is forecasted to go. Make sure I got the most recent updated maps here, which I do. So there's numerous spaghetti models out here that show projected paths that this hurricane could take. Some of these are actually trending northward here once the hurricane reaches around the Mexico area into the Gulf of Mexico to take a sharp northward turn into the Gulf states there of Texas and maybe even Louisiana. So that's obviously a little concerning here. It will dramatically weaken as it moves over land, but it does have a shot here to regain some steam if it does take this northward movement. That's one model. The global and the hurricane models in kind of like a together model here shows most of the activity here with Hurricane Beryl heading down to the south. South of the Corpus Christi area, although there's a couple different models here trending northward once again into the Louisiana and eastern Texas area there along the Gulf Coast. So this is going to be something to watch pretty closely, as this hurricane does have the potential here to create some some big time damage out here. There's the current hurricane warning there for Jamaica. Got a little ways to go. It is expected to well, they got the hurricane right here at about 8 p.m. on Wednesday. This is going to be Eastern time, which is here in a couple days. We'll have to watch this pretty closely, but it is expected to be a major hurricane about the time it reaches the Jamaica area. I mean, Category 5 already. So we'll see if this goes through any type of cycles and whatnot. But I think this is going to be a big deal. Heading off to the west-northwest at about 22 miles per hour. Look at that. 160 mile per hour sustained winds. Goodness. Some of the video floating around out here on social media today from these islands is incredible. The amount of wind and the damage that took place from this hurricane. So we got to watch Jamaica. That's in the area right there in the red underneath a hurricane warning. And it does look like it'll be pretty close here on the day on Wednesday, because this is 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. A few hours later, should put it much closer here to the area in the Jamaica region. And let's see what we got for the categories here. These are forecast hours. Already we're in the Category 5, right? Not many models here were predicting this to go into a Category 5, so we're already above the threshold that was predicted or forecasted. It is expected to drop as the hours go out, but again, the uncertainty on whether it's going to have a chance to regain some steam here in the Gulf of Mexico at the forecast hour of 132 or so, which is in a few days, obviously. Well, time will tell. Obviously, it's of some concern out here, because we could see this thing maybe intensify after weakening. Let me check out the windy model here real quick and see what we got. This is another neat little weather graph I like to use a lot. I got the premium version. It's not all that expensive here to get some extra handy dandy gadgets to look at. Lots of options here to add. This is pretty much an all-in-one option or app, so to speak, in terms of watching the weather, SO2 emissions, sea surface temperature, solar power, UV index, you name it. They have it all. So as we let's see what we got here for Wednesday at about 5 p.m. or so. Now this is going to be, oh man, that's not good. This model is showing almost a direct impact here around the Jamaica area. Kingston down here south Let me see what we got. Yeah, this one's showing a little bit more dangerous scenario there for the Jamaica area. This is the ECMWF model. Wednesday at about 12 p.m. Now let's check out the GFS model here. That's still showing a little bit on the northward side here, although some weakening observed. The ICON model shows more of a direct hit across the Jamaica area. So that's, that's a little concerning here, folks. Got to watch that pretty closely. And the only way we'll know for sure is by watching these weather models trend here over the next couple days as it gets closer to the Jamaica area. Then after that, speeds off here towards the Georgetown area. Goodness. And from there, it's supposed to go to the west. So let's see what we got as we put this into motion here. Does look like it's following a westward turn until it hits the Mexico area here about Saturday. And then this weather model here does show it weakening and just dissipating here across the area of Mexico with really no westward or northward turn. Again, that's the ECMWF model. The GFS model, let's bring this back here and see what happened to that hurricane. That one shows like it's got a little bit more of a, there it is, a little northward turn to it, but not as strong. So again, no magic crystal ball to look into, but it's something to keep an eye on for sure for the Jamaica area, Georgetown area right here as well in the line of fire. We'll definitely be covering this here on our updates for the next few days here as we're watching this hurricane make its way further to the west and into the eventually into the Gulf of Mexico. Key messages right now. Hurricane warning is now in effect for Jamaica, where hurricane conditions are expected on Wednesday. Tropical storm force or tropical storm warning is also in effect for south coast of the Hispaniola area. Pretty crazy. Of course, there's going to be a lot of wind, right? And a lot of rain. So, man. Arrival of some winds out here, tropical storm force winds, Wednesday 8 a.m. it looks like here across Jamaica, the earliest, potentially here across the mainland for that tropical storm force winds. Of course, as the day goes on Wednesday, we'll see higher winds, and depending on that position of the hurricane, that will tell us where most of the winds will be. Let me go over here to another forecast model. I'm going to go over and check out. Let's go to the North Atlantic here. Jamaica is going to be right over here. Let me see if I can get a different map. That's kind of a North Atlantic. I guess this will work a little bit better. Not quite as far away. So here's our current hurricane here. I'm going to put this into a little bit different map so we can get rid of some of that other noise. But here's Hurricane Beryl in its current position. As we scoot this forward here, this model shows, oh man, almost a direct impact there for the Jamaica area. A little bit of weakening, though, observed between now and then, but this model shows it just slamming and running over the Jamaica area and also the Kingston area before dissipating there in the Gulf of Mexico. So, there's many different weather models to watch out for and the watch in general. That's a GFS. ECMWF model here. Let's check this out. Yeah, that one shows just north there, but, well, I can't really call that a close call because it actually looks like a direct hit once again there for the Jamaica area. So we'll continue to watch that and report back on it, folks. It's a big deal. Definitely a big weather maker out there. And out here in the eastern Pacific, got a 10% chance of some type of cyclone formation here in the next 48 hours out here in the Pacific off the coast of Mexico. But, it's got to watch it. It's still a little early. Looks like the next 7 days, medium at a 40% chance there of some type of development. Little tropical system out here as well. 20 to 40% chance of some tropical development here from this cyclone, or of a cyclone formation there way out in the Atlantic. Nothing going on out here in the Central Pacific for now, which is good news. A look at the earthquake activity. California rocking a little bit down here. Extreme Southern California, north of the border. 3.1 coming in just off of the the Elsinore fault, looks like. Sits to the west. There's a couple different other faults that extend here, some fragments of faults. And did see some activity up north as well, around the Bay Area, with a 2.8 earthquake outside of San Jose, near Seven Trees, That earthquake coming in on the Calaveras fault zone, it looks like right here. Really no major earthquake activity right now, but as always, we're living on some borrowed time out here across the West Coast and many areas across the Pacific Northwest in general as well. There's that 3.1 in Wyoming early this morning. As far as Yellowstone goes, a handful of smaller quakes. Let's see what we got here for the latest data. Aside from the noise of the wind out there, it looks like. See these right here. There's that one earthquake from early this morning or late last night. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity here, folks. We would see it and we would know about it if it was happening, but it's not. All right, the Big Island of Hawaii here. Let's see what we got here. Looks like still seeing some earthquake activity out here. A couple new ones down south here across this hill in a slump. Got to watch out, right? This area very capable of collapsing, right? We often get these huge landslides out here historically, and that's a big chunk of land out here that could be kicked off, so to speak, of the Big Island and into the Pacific here, potentially creating a tsunami as well. Those earthquakes, though, look a little, one's deep, one's shallow, so take your pick. Either way, we're still looking at somewhat elevated earthquake activity out here across the Kilauea volcano. Let's see what we have here for the USGS notification system. There's all the earthquake activity here recently up across the upper east rift zone, south here of the crater area. Deformation data, let's check this out, see what we got. Looks like we're going back up here a little bit. Not quite to the extent that we had seen here a couple days ago. We reached a maximum level of inflation, I feel, and then we've just dropped. This is about the time the earthquake swarm really kicked up. So since then, huge amount of earthquake activity, a drop in inflation here. Not a huge drop, but a noticeable drop. And we really haven't recovered back up to that previous level as seen here back in late June. So hard to say exactly what's taken place below the surface here, but it's key to watch these inflation charts and other data like earthquake activity, get a good general idea of where maybe some of this magma may be drifting off to. Tilt meter out here. About the time we've seen that drop in inflation there across the summit, we've seen a uptick in inflation here further to the southeast of the crater area where we're seeing that earthquake swarm take place. So good possibility we could be talking about a magma intrusion here in the coming days off here to the east rift zone. Not a magic crystal ball reader. I'm definitely not a fortune teller. You don't want me telling fortunes out here. I'd get them wrong every time probably. But we got to keep an eye on that, right? Keep an eye on the earthquake activity, the tilt meters leading to some uptick here generally across this region. And that is that. Got to keep an eye on it for sure. The rest of the world out here got a 5.0 in the Banda Sea area across the plate boundary. 165 kilometers deep for that quake. Getting a bunch of deep earthquake activity out here today across the western areas of the Pacific plate and down into the Indonesia islands area. There's actually a 4.3 coming in there as well. I wonder if that's the same one. 5.0, 4.3. No, that looks like a different one, because there's a 5-pointer, 4.3 a little bit further up north. Either way, we've been noticing a lot of deep activity. Almost immediately following the deeper activity, we get some surface adjustment out here. We've seen it with this big one in the Izu Trench, 5.3, super deep earthquake. This one right here, 471 kilometers deep. About 10 minutes later, we've seen activity stir up out here across the East China Sea area along this plate boundary right here, where we expect the transfer of pressure to take place here. It makes sense. I don't have it pulled up here on my photos. I'll have to go get it, but that's where the pressure tends to build up there when we get those deeper quakes. And same thing with this one, 5-pointer up here, got a 4.3, very shallow earthquake, just right around that deep quake. So got a lot of movement, a lot of pressure building up out here across the area. New Zealand still seeing some 3s out here. Looks like fairly deep activity there underneath the North Island region. So let's go see what's going on here from GeoNet. 3.6. Let me see here. I know there's got to be some deeper quakes here. There's 4.2 along the Kermadec Trench up north. There's a pretty deep earthquake right there. 3-pointer, 162 kilometers here underneath North Island. And that's some of the stuff I'm looking for. There's another deep earthquake here, South Island area, but that's associated with the southern end of the Hikurangi. So, you know, one thing we've noticed here across the area is these deep earthquake trends underneath the region, with some surface adjustment taking place across the North Island and South Island area. But man, you know, a couple 3s here and there, I don't think that's enough to relieve a bunch of strain out here that's been building up across various fault systems that are well overdue here in terms of producing earthquake activity, large earthquake activity. So, you know, another spot there. Keep an eye on New Zealand area. And typical movement out here across the rest of the planet for now. Really not seeing anything strange or unusual going on out there. Look at the space weather activity here. Well, that's another one. Pretty quiet. Haven't really seen too much activity from a solar flare perspective, but a little M-flare activity last night. Really not expecting much here with these ongoing diminishing sunspots out here. They're looking pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of organization out here, and they continue to fade and drift away off into the wind, the solar wind, so to speak. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a good night. We will catch you guys back out here in the morning unless something major happens between now and then. Have a good night. Stay safe out there, folks.